YouTube. What's going on, man? Back at it again with another video. It's your boy, Numbers Fan J. We got the NFC North today. Let's get into it. Starting off with Motown, the Detroit Lions. They went 6-10 last year. They started 3-3, but they finished fourth in the division. I hate to see the Lions fan base and organization suffer another year, but it is what it is. This is a team that hasn't had much success overall. When they do, it comes in spurts. They'll win 3 to 5 games in a row, then lose 3 to 5 games in a row. They're 66-75 with Matthew Stafford at quarterback. I think he's great when he's healthy. He's thrown for at least 4,200 yards in 7 of his 10 years in the league. On the flip side, he's only thrown 30-plus touchdowns twice. He has learned to protect the ball more as he's gotten older. He has to get more consistent help from the front office and his teammates. When I say front office, I'm referring to this. And Lions fans, you know what I'm about to say here. They have to draft better. Their first round selection was T.J. Hawkinson, tight end out of Iowa. Come on now. Last tight end you took too early. You missed out on Aaron Donald and Odell Beckham Jr., whom you had a chance to draft. Now, instead of drafting Ed Oliver, you draft a tight end. Again? Like, this isn't a big market team. It's Detroit. Your best chance to get better is through the draft. You lost your best receiver, Golden Tate. Glover Quinn retired. You lost Ezekiel Anza and LeGarrette Blount. You used your first 2 picks on a tight end and a linebacker from Hawaii. Albeit, you added a serviceable running back. In C.J. Anderson, an okay slot receiver in Danny Amendola, a replacement for Ziggy Ansah in Trey Flowers, and surprisingly landed former Packers D lineman Mike Daniels on Friday. I still don't think Detroit did enough to compete in the NFC North, so I have them finishing 4th. Next, we go to cold Minnesota, the Minnesota Vikings. They finished 8-7-1 last year, second in the division, and did not make the postseason. Outside of the Buccaneers, the Minnesota Vikings had maybe the least active offseason in terms of free agency in the NFL. Their biggest change was at offensive coordinator, where they hired their quarterback coach, Kevin Stefanski. That should be a good thing, as this Kirk Cousins-led offense underwhelmed last year. They were a terrible rushing team as they finished 30th in rush yards, 25th in yards per carry, and 31st in rush touchdowns. The defense definitely wasn't the problem, as they allowed the 4th least yards, 3rd least passing yards, and 9th least points per game. So what is it? What has held this team back other than a lack of offensive balance? That's the question that has to be answered by the front office. Yet, this is another team with a different agenda than many would think they should have. They lost 2 safeties in Andrew Sendejo and George Iloka. They lost corner Marcus Sherrills, but they didn't sign any DBs in free agency and didn't draft a DB until round 6 of the NFL draft. That shows the confidence they have in the thin group of DBs they have remaining. But I don't think it's enough. Not wishing any injuries, but DB is a fragile position group. You need depth, and they are now lacking in that area heading into the 2019 season. The Vikings also lost Latavius Murray, Sheldon Richardson, and Tom Compton, their starting guard. They did sign Josh Klein to replace Compton, though. They still need a running back, too. But lack of depth paired with an offense led by a QB who still hasn't proved to be a playmaker spells bad season for Minnesota. I had them finishing 3rd in the NFC North. Finishing 2nd, I have Titletown, Green Bay, the Packers. They finished 6-9-1. third in the division, and they only had one division win last year. This was the definition of a mediocre team. The O-line was horrific in pass protection, allowing Aaron Rodgers to be sacked 53 times, third most in the NFL. On the bright side, he only threw 4 interceptions. The offense had the second fewest giveaways and were second in yards per carry. The defense didn't pose any impressive nor any alarming stats, besides being 29th in takeaways. This team needed playmakers bad on defense. I think that's why we saw the offense not be as efficient last year. They weren't given a short field very often. The front office noticed this and grabbed Ravens sack leader Zadarius Smith to replace an aging Clay Matthews, whom left for the Rams. The Packers front office also signed Bears safety Adrian Amos, Redskins linebacker Preston Smith, and took Michigan defensive end Rashawn Gary and Maryland safety Darnell Savage Jr. in the draft. They're getting Aaron Jones off IR as well. I expect this offense to be dangerous again, despite losing Randall Cobb. Aaron Rodgers is just that good. They still need a shutdown corner, but their group of corners made major strides and showed improvement from year 1 to year 2. I'm not saying they'll have a top 5 defense, but I think they'll be back in the playoffs this year. I have them finishing second as a wild card, at least 10 wins for Titletown, and another shot at Rodgers' second ring. Finishing first again, Chi-Town, the Chicago Bears. Last year they went 12-4. They won the division. And of course they lost to the Eagles on a missed field goal. This was another relatively quiet team, and rightfully so. They were a missed field goal away from possibly heading to the Super Bowl. They did lose Adrian Amos, Zach Miller, and most importantly, clutch kicker Cody Parkey. Okay, I can't. I'm sorry, Chicago. No, but seriously, kicker was circled in this front office. They currently have 3 kickers fighting for the job. We all know the defense was the best in the league, number 1 in points allowed, 3rd in total yards, 7th in passing yards, 4th in yards per carry, 1st in rush yards allowed, number 1 in takeaways, number 1 in interceptions, number 2 in sacks, 1st in quarterback rating allowed. This defense aided this team to number 3 in turnover differential. We've seen the Broncos defense do these things a few years ago, and that's who they remind me of. Mitch Trubisky isn't Peyton Manning, but Peyton and Trevor Siemian led the league in turnovers the year the Broncos won it all. Mitch doesn't need to throw for 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards like Mahomes. He just needs to manage the game. This team did add HaHa Clinton-Dix to replace Adrian Amos, and even added speedy playmaker / return man Cordell Patterson. The Bears drafted Iowa State running back David Montgomery and Calvin Ridley's younger brother, Riley Ridley, from Georgia. This is a very deep young team that I expect to make another playoff push this season. They will win this division again. That's all I got for y'all today, man. Thursday NFC West video dropping. Stay tuned. It's your boy Jay. We out of here.